Good morning. Welcome back to this channel. If you guys are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Catherine. This channel is all about treat making and Jesus. And if you guys are a returning subscriber, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. So today we are going to take it back. We're going to take it back to when I first started this business, this treat making business. The first thing that I started making was chocolate covered strawberries. And that became like my OG item on the menu. I got a lot of sales from it. I got a lot of customers from it and returning customers. And the easiest one, but the biggest seller for me was the classic chocolate strawberry, which was the milk chocolate and the white chocolate. And then it was like 6 milk chocolate and 6 white chocolate. So I figured why not show you guys how to make these classic chocolate strawberries. They are beautiful, super elegant, easy to make. It doesn't require much supplies if you're just starting off. And it does have 2 tricks that I'm going to be teaching you here today that make the biggest difference in your strawberries. Alright guys, so let's not drag on this intro and let's just get started. So here's everything we're going to be using. We're going to need some milk chocolate. Make sure it's nice and runny. Next up, we are going to use some white chocolate. Again, nice and runny, smooth, and no unmelted chocolates. A thermometer. A skewer or something sharp to pop our air bubbles. And a piping bag. And of course, last but not least, we need nice, clean, dried strawberries, a flour foam board, and some skewers. Now to start off, I'm going to start by melting my milk chocolate. And I am going to give it a good stir and then start to remove any air bubbles. And to do that, I'm going to tap it against the counter and make sure that all the air bubbles rise to the top and that they pop. So now that we've removed all the air bubbles, we are going to move on to the next step, which is checking the temperature of our chocolate. It's 110 degrees, so it is way too hot to start dipping.
A few moments later.
So in the beginning of this video, I mentioned that there was 2 steps for getting the most perfect chocolate covered strawberries. And this is one of them. Your temperature has to be correct. It has to be 90 degrees. Maybe it can be 85 degrees, but nothing below those 2 ranges. 90 degrees is perfect. It's not too hot and it will not cook your strawberries. And below 80 degrees is too cold and it's going to be clumpy and it's not going to have like a smooth finish when dipping your strawberries. So remember, your temperature is very important so that you can get these beautiful, perfectly dipped strawberries. 90 degrees is preferred. Anything between 90 to 85 is okay. 85 and below is too cold. For this classic box, I am just going to dip 6 strawberries into my milk chocolate, making sure I lift up all the leaves and submerging the strawberry completely, covering it completely with chocolate. Tapping on my wrist to remove any excess chocolate, and now I have a perfectly dipped strawberry. And I'm just going to repeat this step until I have all 6 of my strawberries covered in milk chocolate. Another tip is to make sure that you are removing all the excess chocolate from your strawberries when dipping. If you don't and you just go ahead and place it on the foam to dry, chocolate is going to start to drip off of the strawberry and it's going to cause a bumpy surface, and you want to achieve a nice smooth surface so that they look nice and clean, professionally dipped. So that's another tip I have for you guys. Moving on to the white chocolate, I'm going to repeat the same process, checking the temperature, making sure it's perfect for dipping, and we are just going to go ahead and start to dip 6 of our strawberries in white chocolate. Now you can see here that I have an air bubble. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my skewer and use it to pop the air bubbles. And now I'm going to tap on my wrist and smooth out that chocolate. And here you can see that it is perfectly covered. No lumps or bumps from using the skewer. And I am going to repeat this same process to the remaining strawberries. Now, this white chocolate is a little bit more temperamental than the milk chocolate. I love to melt the milk chocolate because it melts so smoothly, no issues. I love it. But this white chocolate, that's another story. This one is so complicated. It's hard to melt. It's by the brand Merkins. And sometimes I get a good batch and it melts nicely. And sometimes I get a really crappy batch. And this is one of them. So this one was hard to melt. It like melts very thick, not nice and smooth and runny. You do have to let it sit a while so that the temperature can cool down and it can start to like be more runny instead of so thick. And it gets a lot of air bubbles. So here you can see that I am tapping and tapping and tapping, making sure that all the air bubbles come to the surface before I start to dip, because it's just so much air bubbles in this chocolate. But I do love Merkins. I use it all the time. It's just sometimes I get a good batch and sometimes I get a bad batch. Now, you can double dip your strawberries if you feel like your coverage is not enough. I am using Super White by Merkins, and I feel like it gives me a good coverage. But if for whatever reason you feel like you can see through the chocolate, you can see the strawberry, and you just want more coverage, feel free to double dip your strawberries. It's personal preference, to each their own. Sometimes I do double dip and sometimes I just dip it once and I feel like it's enough coverage. I feel like double dipping does make it look pretty nice, but it is a lot more work, more time consuming, and it does use up more chocolate. But to each their own. And since I am just making 1 dozen strawberries, it doesn't make that much of a difference for time. But if you are dipping a lot of strawberries, double dipping is going to be very time consuming. So just keep that in mind. Now, moving on to the second trick to getting the most perfect chocolate covered strawberries is your drizzle. So here I am just adding a little bit of white chocolate, and the trick is in the tip. So here you can see that I am barely cutting off the tip of the piping bag. And I am just going to test it, make sure that it is flowing nicely. And here you can see, well, I hope you guys can see that it is coming out like a little squiggly line instead of a straight line. And that tells me that the cut that I made in my piping bag is too small. So I have to go back and cut a little bit bigger. I don't want to cut too much, but I don't want to cut too little. I just want it to be just right. So here I'm going to try again. And here you can see that my drizzle is nice and straight. No more squiggly lines. And the drizzle is thin. It's not too much chocolate coming out. So now I know that I am ready to start decorating my strawberries. I like to set them down and just see how they naturally lay, and then decide where I'm going to drizzle from there. And there you go. A nice thin drizzle. I think it looks amazing. Let me know what you guys think in the comment sections. But I am going to go ahead and drizzle all my strawberries with this white chocolate. And that is the trick to getting perfect chocolate covered strawberries. Your drizzle is fundamental. It is going to make it or break it for you. So I highly recommend that you practice your drizzle. And a good way to make sure that your piping bag is perfect is testing it over your chocolate, just like I did a couple minutes ago. Just squeeze out the chocolate, see if it comes out squiggly or if the lines come out straight. And that is a good indication to tell you how your cut is, if it's too much or if it's too little. I always cut just a little bit and I work my way up, because that way I can correct my mistake and just cut the hole a little bit larger if needed. But if I cut too much, then obviously I'm just going to have to get another piping bag and start all over again. So just cut a little bit and work your way up. And I highly recommend that you use this piping bag specifically. I will link it down in the description box. I have used sandwich bags before. I know a lot of people like to drizzle with sandwich bags, but they always bust on me. And I have used other piping bags and they also bust on me. So you want to make sure that when you're squeezing your piping bag that it's going to hold the pressure and it's not going to bust on you. So I'm going to link it down below. I love this brand. It has never busted on me. And there we have it, guys. We are all done decorating our strawberries. Now I'm just going to remove them from the skewer now that they're completely dried. And look how cute they look. I love how easily they come off the skewer. They give me no issues at all. And I also love that the little hole that the skewer made is very small. And now that that is out the way, I wanted to very quickly show you guys how beautiful these strawberries look. Look how the front looks. I think it looks amazing. And look at the back. I love this smooth back. And this is the reason why I like to dry my strawberries using skewers and flour foam to stand them up. I don't like to dry my strawberries on a flat surface because that exposes the strawberry since it's not completely covered in chocolate and it's going to cause a lot of leakage. And there we have it. Look at the final product. I love this classic strawberry arrangement box. It was my most sold product there for a while. It's super cute. And of course, I cannot resist the temptation to try one. And they taste so good, you guys. I love the milk chocolate ones. Those are my favorite. I can eat them all right now. But while I enjoy this strawberry, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.